Howdy YouTube,
I'm Jerry.
and I'm Joe, and you're watching
Gerry Rigged.
With a Cup of Joe. We don't want people doing that. Who the hell are you? This is Jerry, I'm
Yeah.
Joe.
I'm Jerry.
And what's this thing called we're doing? Gerry Rigged with a
yeah.
Cup of Joe?
Yeah.
That's an awful title. Who thought that shit up?
A little
It
bit.
wasn't your wife, was it?
No.
Oh, thank God for
A
that.
little bit
'cause we
you,
both
a little bit
did
me, a little bit my
A
sister.
little bit country and a little bit rock and roll. Your sister?
Yeah.
You talk to your sister?
Occasionally.
Why? So what we thought we'd do is we're just going to kind of let the camera run and we'll ramble and see where things go. Now, you wanted to do our first episode on fear.
I think that's a good topic that we could get a couple of episodes out of because it's probably one of the biggest motivators for anything.
Everything. Wouldn't you agree?
When it comes to humanity.
Well, yeah.
And the animal kingdom too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, fear drives animals' reaction. It does ours too.
yeah.
But my big thing about fear is most people let it control them and
Right.
rule their life, and it's understandable. I mean, when we're kids, what did our parents do to us? If you don't do this, there's going to be a consequence. There's going to be punishment.
Yeah.
School. What did they always tell us? It's going to go on your permanent record. Turns out it wasn't such a bad thing to happen.
I still haven't found my
That's a
permanent record.
badge of honor to me,
Yeah.
and I understand the purpose it serves in certain circumstances, but
Right.
my theory's always been, God, I lived in fear till I was about, I guess 35, 40, maybe I started letting go of the fear because the way it affects your psyche and, it can keep you from being all you can be. What is that saying they say? The only difference between a millionaire and yourself is a millionaire will fail multiple times and keep trying something different.
Yeah.
To whereas a crazy person will keep trying the same thing and hoping for a different outcome. But
I was just reading in one of my books.
I didn't know you could read.
Yeah. It's this new thing I figured out how to
Wow.
do. I know. It really helps with my school.
Just months ago he was crawling. Now he's reading. I'm so proud.
I
Go ahead, I'm
almost
sorry.
figured out how to drink out of a cup without a lid on
Yeah, and you'll notice I interrupt quite a bit. That's just me.
it. So do I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What the hell were we talking
That's why
about?
we don't get along
fear.
so well.
Yeah, fear.
But it was...
Am I having a stroke or is the light going down?
No, it's the light.
Okay, go ahead.
It was first misattributing certain credits to Mr. Thomas Edison, but that's okay. But it talked about how he had failed hundreds of times before he developed the incandescent light bulb.
But he didn't develop the incandescent light bulb.
I'm taking the story for the point that they're trying
Fake
to make.
news.
Yeah. But anyways, so it said that, somebody came to him and said, well, while developing it, you failed hundreds of times. And he's like, yeah, that just means it took me 100 steps to get to a successful, and, that's how I think that things need
Well,
to
yeah,
be
that
viewed.
is-
It's not failure. It's a learning process. You only fail when you continuously
Well,
fail at the same
then why are
thing,
we so
doing the
afraid of
same
failure? Why are people? It's become mind numbing for some people. They crawl into their parents' basements and never come out.
Yeah.
They're afraid of failure. Why? When did we start teaching that failure was a bad thing? I mean, for crying out loud, in sports, it's the first thing they teach you is you're not going to win every time.
Yeah.
Be sportsmanlike. But, I mean, fear doesn't really drive sports, does it? I mean,
No.
I don't know how I got off on this tangent on sports, but
yeah. Well, I get what you're saying. That's
trying to say.
Yeah.
Trying to say.
And don't get me started on sports and athletes and how they're overvalued. But
Separate
anyways.
subject. Well, that's your opinion.
Yes. And
Right.
we all have one.
We all have opinions, and they all
Too bad we don't have just
stink
one.
like shit. So,
Well, it's the only problem with opinion is not recognizing its opinion. Thinking your opinion is
we're all
fact.
guilty of it. But back on the subject of fear. Yeah.
That's part of it, though.
But,
We fear being wrong. We don't
I mean,
want
where
to
did
be
I learn this
wrong.
fear? Well, I think it was a combination of my parents and society. And, I was a child of the 70s. I was raised, you never questioned. You never stepped out of line. You never questioned authority. You did what you were told. And, you had that fear of the permanent record. Hell, my biggest fear was getting called to the principal's office, you know?
Yeah.
And I wasn't a kid who was in trouble a lot till high school. I started getting bullied a lot, but I just remember that overwhelming sense of fear. Fear of going to school, fear of getting bullied, fear. Hell, the teachers bullied me as much as the students did.
Yeah.
Some of the younger teachers.
Oh, yeah.
If you were a problem child, which I was too damn smart for my own good. I was too inquisitive, and the teachers can't handle those large class size, and they can't handle somebody not sticking to the curriculum.
Right.
So you were labeled a troublemaker when actually you were probably, just seeking the attention because you were bored by what they were teaching in class. It wasn't reaching you.
Well, it's what I found in school, and you were the 70s, and then I was the 80s,
yeah.
Which was still fear, that whole anti-drug campaign and all that other stuff. That was all fear motivation and everything. And I think a lot of it is the teachers get the subject matter and they're like, all right, here's the list of questions that students are going to ask about.
Yeah, they're trained to teach you to pass a test.
And when it comes across a student that's like, okay, I can answer all these questions on my own, I have questions about something further, taking this further, because all this stuff makes sense. I don't have any questions over it. I can reason this out on my own. So they were students are sitting around going, okay, I answered all the questions that, the teacher's there to answer, so I want to go more in depth. I want to ask other questions, and teachers weren't prepared for that. That was a time where the teachers were, teaching off a checklist or off of an outline.
Yeah, it was a little more fluid in my time. They were allowed a little more leeway. Now their main goal, and the only reason we know this is because your father, my brother, was a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
He just retired a few years ago or a year ago, and he was in the system. And he was a good teacher. Students loved him. The problem was he, like he said, was the administrators.
Right.
And they had all these rules and regs because you had parents that were more irresponsible than their children. It kind of tied educators' hands. They're there to teach. They're there to inspire young minds to question things, not to. They become like in lockstep with the government to teach the children to obey and pay their taxes and do all that, which is fine. You got to have a society, but I don't think using fear, again coming back to fear,
mm-hmm.
is something they always used on me as a child. And my parents had it ingrained into them as well. My father was a child of the Depression.
Right. He
knew what it was like to live without a safety net, a social safety net there. They had nothing back then. They didn't have welfare. They did live in fear, where my next meal was going to come from. How am I going to get the crops into the market and get them sold? And are we going to have enough rain this year? Those were real fears where you had to deal with life. Now the fears we have are pretty much invented. We fear our own shadows. And I think that part of that gets brought forward from the previous generation. They lived in, and fear is good for you in certain circumstances because
right.
A lot of people that normally it wouldn't motivate, it will motivate them to get off their ass and do something, like the fear of going to prison. Well, I don't want to go to prison, so I better get this done. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where fear can come in handy. But, my favorite frickin' sci-fi show, Dune,
yeah.
Fear is the mind killer. Yep. It's true.
I never understood that.
I didn't either till I was in my 30s or 40s.
Yeah, so I watched it,
Well,
but I never understood the point they were making.
I was a smart kid, right? But I didn't have the intellectual understanding that I do now. I was always how I felt at the moment, not
it's
how
not fair.
Right, life isn't fair. Oh my God, when I look back on what a social justice warrior I was when I was a kid, and now I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Do whatever the hell you want to do as long as it doesn't affect me. So but fear was the motivator. I mean, good God, when I think of where I could be today if I hadn't let fear stop me on some decisions I made in my 20s and 30s, I should have started a business a long time ago.
Right. Didn't go to college immediately after high school because of fear. It was me too, because I didn't realize I was adult. Well, I feared being an adult. I didn't want to be responsible for myself. I wanted to have that freedom that I still had.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what a lot of kids go through. But I didn't know who to go to ask questions about college or anything like that. Yeah, they had guidance counselors at our school, but, you know, my school was out in the middle of a cornfield. The guidance counselor, you know, was somebody that went to that same school that everybody knew, and
he doubled as a janitor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he had 2 or 3 jobs in that school.
Yeah.
He's your guidance counselor and janitor. There's nothing wrong with being a janitor. My father was a janitor. There's nothing wrong with that profession.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, though.
But, so I just was like, college isn't for me.
I still think college isn't for you, but that's just me.
But, well, college isn't what it should be. And then none of the school system is what it should be.
No, I agree with you there.
It should be, you teach basic fundamentals, and that's it. You teach them how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and then they go on their own and say,
yeah,
hey,
but fear, Jerry,
I want to learn about this business.
If you don't go to college, you're not going to make it in this world.
Yeah. If
you don't go to college and pay $100,000, $200,000 in student loan debt, you're not really making
$4,000
it.
a semester for one class.
We used to have programs in high school to teach. Not everybody's cut out to go to college.
Right.
I'm not cut out to go to college. If I went to college, I'd never finish an argument with a professor. I'd never accomplish anything. My point is that, again, there's where the fear comes. If you don't go to, it's bullshit. Some people are happy being plumbers and electricians and auto mechanics. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, they all pay good money.
Landscapers.
You don't need college to do that. What they don't teach in school, in elementary and middle and high school, it is common sense.
Right.
They don't teach you to think logically. They think you to react out of fear and emotion. And then they capitalize on that, and then they take they take your money. Did your counselor ever sit down and say, Jerry, have you thought about college as the right path for you?
I never talked to my counselor. And surprisingly, it was most of my coaches that were actually thinkers, that weren't just sitting there teaching rhetoric. They actually, wanted
did
engagement,
things.
Argue with
things.
me. I hate that. That's one thing that put me off college. The very first class I had, the book was called Everything's an Argument, and I was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, so there.
Wait a minute. But anyways,
you just proved my point. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now shut up.
Most people think the coaches are there to coach, and
coaches are cool.
But yeah, I had a whole bunch of coaches that were the most engaging.
You get past the asshole shield,
they were the ones that were trying to motivate me, whereas the coaches and stuff like that, they're
good at it.
I don't know if they saw my potential, or they thought I had potential,
or
they were just trying to keep me quiet so they could get something done
shut you up.
in their day.
Here's that Straley kid again. Shut him up.
I'm very big on the Socratic method, and I used to tutor at the college. I used to tutor philosophy, mathematics, writing, but I always did the Socratic method, and you would not understand how much pushback you get from that. But it is a good way to learn.
Back on the subject of fear, Socrates.
And then they don't ask questions because they're afraid of sounding stupid.
Exactly.
They're afraid of somebody going, come on, really? But I like that. I like when somebody goes, hey, you're overthinking it. And I do that a lot. But
you?
Yeah.
And I like to claim that I've lost the fear and I'm morally superior to everyone who fears things. But I fear new stuff all the time. I get anxiety over...
Oh, driving? Ooh.
Like Exchange Server. I'm going to give you an example with something that's relevant in my life, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always afraid to click buttons in Exchange Server without direction. And that comes from past experience. I know that it's easy to wreck an Exchange Server by clicking the wrong button. So now I carry this fear forward. And what is it? It prevents me, I guess. It's instinctual. It protects you from, walking into a fan blade, although I know a lot of people that still do that. So fear is good in some circumstances, but when I think about all the stuff it's prevented me from doing and you from doing moving forward, I guess the point we're trying to make is don't let fear run you. You should run the fear. There are moments when it's appropriate to be fearful, but, I like to be in the calm, cool, collected one in a crisis because we're control freaks. Both of us are, to a certain extent. But we also like to look at things logically. We've learned over the years through experience that fear is good in some aspects, but it's and people use fear to manipulate other people.
Oh yeah,
and they do it intentionally,
and sometimes not.
Yeah, because they're designed to trigger you.
Yeah, and
they're designed to get and evoke an emotional response. And it seems like over look, I've been on the planet 53 years. I don't know more than everybody else does, but just from observation, the news, it used to be Walter Cronkite would go up and he would report the news, right? He would report the story. Now you can tell every damn news report, I don't care who it is, name your favorite news reporting company, insert here. They're all they're peddling is fear. We want you to fear things, They're still doing it to us. And most people don't have the benefit that you and I do where most people are working an 8-to-5 job or 9-to-5 job. They're spending 2 hours in their car, 1 hour on the way to work, 1 hour on the way home. They get home, they got to deal with the kids, they got to deal with the grocery shop and getting the meal ready. They don't have time.
They get on autopilot and just don't even worry about it. They're like,
right.
There's so much that I have to do. There's so much I'm responsible for. I don't have time to think about, where everything
Agreed.
comes from.
So we want these kind of conversations we have to be kind of fluid and off the cuff, and so basically we're just sitting down and recording, and we're picking a subject matter, sitting down and recording, and I'm sure the venue will change. We'll be working with a set and that kind of thing, but we just like to sit down and this is normally what we do every morning. Is we sit down over a cup of coffee and we have an hour-long conversation about some shit that's bothering us, that comes up in the news or in life or whatever, and we just thought we'd film it. What the hell? I mean, people will watch anything on YouTube. Why not us, right?
Yeah.
Especially that.
Yeah. It's not for us to decide what you guys want to watch.
Or what you want to, or what you think.
We're just giving you the option.
Or what you think. But we're going to sit here and bloviate and share our opinion, right or wrong. And you're welcome to comment down in the comments section. But
this is just our opinion.
Yeah, but keep it clean if or you want to tell us your experience with fear and how it's changed you, made you better, made you worse, or what it's prevented you from doing in life. That's the whole idea of these sitting down here, is to try to get a conversation going with, and see if there are other idiots out there that feel like what we do. So, by the way, he's a 38.
39.
Oh,
yeah.
God, you are getting old.
I just had a birthday. So did you.
Shut up. We don't discuss that.
The month of January does.
He's got a couple of kids. He's got a great wife. He's got a great sister here locally, and we all kind of hang out together. So he's more of an adult than I am.
Yeah.
I'm never going to have children unless there's a miracle. I mean, I can only imagine the fear of having he's got a 13-year-old daughter, so one, he gets no sleep.
Yes.
Now, and two, how did you go from being a parent to no children? That must have been scary right there.
No.
Really?
No.
Joyful?
I've always been kind of a parental figure to kids.
I've never thought you were fit to raise a dog, much less a kid.
I
feared for you.
The sibling that's closest in age to me is 10 years younger. The next one is 15, and then after that, 20 years. So I've got...
Sounds like my family.
I've got at least a decade on my siblings.
Hey, top this. I got a sister who's almost as old as my mother.
Yeah.
Do the math on that one, buddy.
Yeah. I have developed insomnia because of fear. And it started with my kids, but I realized that I've always kind of had kids. I've always taken care of my siblings. So I was used to... And I relate more with kids.
What don't you fear now and why? That kind of thing.
I don't really think that there is anything that I don't fear. It's not overcoming fear. It's just recognizing it. I think is more important. I mean, the fear is there. It's a natural instinct. It's a natural part of who you are, and that's fine. It's just being able to recognize, oh, this is a fear motivation. I'm doing this as a response to fear, something triggered a fear. and that's why I'm acting this way. And then
It's like my fear of heights.
and then
I
try
never
to
had it
rationalize
as a kid.
Yeah,
Why do I have it now?
Yeah.
Fear of falling off a ladder and breaking my neck and not be able to support my family. That's a good motivator.
Yeah.
But I know it's not going to happen. But, it's really weird because I sleep on the
why
edge of
isn't
my
it going to
mattress.
happen?
Why am I not afraid of falling on the floor at night? But if I were on the edge of a building, a skyscraper, I couldn't go within 20 feet of the edge of the building and look over. It would terrify me. I'd get vertigo. But I could sleep on the edge of my bed. Basically, I could die by falling out of my bed. I could break my neck just falling 5 feet to the floor, 4 feet to the floor. But I don't have a fear of it. Why is that? I don't know. It's the way your crazy mind works.
Yeah.
So where has fear stopped you?
It'd probably be in education. A lot of stuff I don't take advantage of and try to go out and learn, and because
You're stupid? No.
I'm afraid. Well, everybody's stupid.
Yeah.
It's just when and where and how.
Ignorant.
No.
There's some.
No,
there's stupid people out there.
Let's not be polite.
Yeah, there's stupid people out there.
I mean, there's ignorance and there is stupidity. But if you don't try to understand something or don't even attempt something, then that's just being stupid.
Yeah, it's on you.
Yeah. I mean,
letting fear control you or stop you from doing what you want to do.
That's stupidity. That's not ignorance. That's stupidity.
A lot of people are adrenaline junkies. They get off on the fear. They got to have the next new big thing going on. I'm not one of those people, fortunately, but
I'm rational. I try to rationalize everything.
Oh yeah.
I try to see, why is this? What's the point of this? Does this serve a purpose? And then figure out, if it's worth keeping there or, using this only in certain situations. Because fear can be helpful,
Yeah, it keeps you from burning your hands and putting your face into a fan, although I know people that run headlong into a fan.
It keeps me from being a horrible parent.
No, it doesn't. You are a horrible parent.
Oh,
no, I'm
okay.
just kidding. No, it's not a horrible parent.
I fear one of my kids being, just another number and not thinking for themselves and not...
I have no fear that any of your children are not going to be able to think for themselves.
Yeah,
I think you may have created a monster there, but or a couple of monsters.
I think both of them. They're very outspoken and have no problem standing up for themselves.
Good. That's a good thing.
And it's also a bad thing.
Well, but you also got to understand they're children.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the benefit of wisdom and age that you and I do. Oh God, benefit? Benefit? Wisdom of age and benefit?
Yeah.
The hell was I thinking? Well, anyway, so there you go. Fear. This is our first subject, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Sitting around and rambling with couple of old guys drinking. Where's your coffee?
It's right here.
It doesn't look like coffee.
Right there.
You look like a yuppie with that cup. You should have a man's cup. See, friends don't judge each other. They judge others together. That's the motto of our show. So, although you're not much of my friend, I am forced to interact with you because you are a relative.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Am I required? Or, no?
I don't know.
You don't know. But anyway, we're going to end it here. I don't know what the next subject for the next show will be or whether there will be another show. We'll have to see how it goes. We just want to keep it kind of... What's the word I'm looking for? Not homogenous.
Ad-lib?
No, we want to keep it kind of organic and fluid, and just kind of see where it goes. So we're just going to ramble, because I think when you start planning out these kind of shows, let's do a script and sit down and what are we going to... Yeah, it just doesn't work as well as a natural flow does. So here we are, Gerry Rigged and a cup of Joe, and it's our first episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Come back and see us again. Leave your comments down in the comment section. You remember what I told you about comments? Make sure they're polite and clean and
we're here to have a discussion, not an argument. Everything is a discussion.
Yeah, if you want to argue, go stand in front of a mirror.
Become a politician or
there
a
you
lawyer.
go. Yeah, we want to keep it real here. If you're a masochist, watch it because we're all masochists. That's the group I'm hoping to attract here is masochists. Yeah, I agree with them. I'm as awful as you are.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. So come back and see us again, and please don't forget that we'll be here still chattering on. In 3, 2, 1. Well, howdy, YouTube.
I'm Gerry.
And I'm Joe. And you're watching
Gerry Rigged
with a Cup of Joe. In 3, 2, 1. Howdy, YouTube.
Okay, sometimes you say it, sometimes I say it.
No. In 3, 2, 1. Howdy, YouTube.
I'm Gerry.
I'm Joe.